book of Genesis, chapter 2. Let's begin. Thus the heavens and the earth and all the hosts of them were finished. And on the seventh day God ended his work which he had done, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had done. Then God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because in it he rested from all his work which God had created and made. This is the history of the heavens and the earth when they were created in the day that the Lord God made the earth and the heavens, before any plant of the field was in the earth, and before any herb of the field had grown, for the Lord God had not caused it to rain on the earth, and there was no man to till the ground. Verse 6, But a mist went up from the earth and watered the whole face of the ground, and the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living being. Verse 8, Life in God's garden. The Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed. And out of the ground the Lord God made every tree grow that is pleasant to the sight, and good for food. The tree of life was also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Now a river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from there it parted and became 4 river heads. The name of the first is Pishon. It is the one which encompasses the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold. And the gold of that land is good. Bdellium and oxystone are there. The name of the second river is Gihon, and it is the one which encompasses the whole land of Cush. Verse 14, the name of the third river is Hiddekal. It is one which goes forward to the east of Assyria. The fourth river is the Euphrates. Then the Lord God took the man and put him in the garden of Eden to tend it and keep it. And the Lord God commanded the man, saying, Of every tree of the garden you may freely eat, but of the tree of knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat. For in the day that you eat of it you shall surely die. And the Lord God said, It is not good that man should be alone. I will make him a helper, comparable to him. Verse 9, Out of the ground the Lord God formed every beast of the field and every bird of the air, brought them to Adam to see what he would call them, and whatever Adam called each living creature, that was its name. So Adam gave names to all the cattle and the birds of the air and every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found a helper comparable to him. And the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall on Adam. He slept, and he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh in place. Then the rib which the Lord God made into a woman, he brought to her to the man. And Adam said, This is now bone of my bone, and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Verse 24, Therefore a man shall leave his father and mother, and be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. And they were both naked, the man and the wife, and were not ashamed. End of chapter 2. As you can tell, I have a little bit of trouble reading some of these words in here, but I'll do the best I can. So there's a lot to talk about in chapter 2. So right off we see God creating the Sabbath day. The seventh day we rest. On the 8th day is a new beginning, and we start our new week. That's where we get the 7-day week. And we also see that it has not rained on the earth as of yet. And this kind of takes us up to a story that we'll read later on with Noah and the flood. I believe pretty honestly that at this time, way back in these days, that there was a huge water canopy over the earth. And now that whole water canopy makes up our humongous oceans that we have. I believe that water canopy was acting like a greenhouse and making the earth just a wonderful, tropical, beautiful place. Even at the poles, we know that tropical plants have been discovered there under the ice. But we'll talk more about that during the flood of Noah's day. We also see that God is giving man that he created dominion over everything on the earth. In other words, God is giving Adam the keys to the earth. And God is also giving Adam a set of rules to live by. He's given him a choice here. He's given him a choice. And this is going to be so important later on. God is giving Adam the choice of either doing what God says or not doing what God says. Love demands a choice, doesn't it? And then we see finally that God creates woman out of man and gives woman to man. So notice here, God makes Adam go to sleep, and then he takes a rib out of Adam's side. That's very important because that to me means that God meant woman to walk beside man. God didn't take part of Adam out of his head so that woman would be over him. He didn't take part of him out of his behind so that woman would walk behind him. God means woman to walk beside man. I think that makes it very, very clear here. And when God took part of man to create woman, it made man a less being. But God meant that man and woman together in marriage complete each other and are one. Man and woman are to be together in marriage to complete one another. And in the final verse we see, and they were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed. And quickly, before we close, going back to chapter 1, verse 1, the earth was without form and void. We talked about that before. I believe at this point is when Satan was cast out of heaven. We know who Satan is. He was the angel Lucifer that went bad, and he was cast out to the earth. We'll learn more about that, and I believe that happened right here between form and void. So in the next video, we will read chapter 3 of Genesis, and we will learn all about the serpent, which is Satan, the one that is responsible for all the evil that is going on in the earth today. Hope you enjoyed this. Please like and subscribe. Tune for chapter 3. God bless. Thanks for watching.